Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. Coming up, the US government shutdown reaches the Pacific. Also, research on deep-sea mining in the Cook Islands.
And it's clear today we don't know enough to make a decision.
And in the Pacific Championship, Tonga looks to bounce back from their loss to Samoa against the Kiwis. The impact of the US government shutdown has reached the region. People are currently working without pay in the Northern Mariana Islands, and there's concern over the future of federally funded food programs. Caleb Fotheringham has more.
US territory Guam has plugged one of the holes caused by the shutdown by approving $13 million to keep food programs afloat for November. Deputy Director of Guam's Department of Public Health and Social Services, Amanda Shelton, told Guam lawmakers in a special meeting last week food stamps and benefits for women, infants and children were at risk.
Due to the reality right now of the federal shutdown, we do not have enough funding within our budget to pay these out.
The United States government went into shutdown on the 1st of October after Republicans and Democrats could not agree to pass a bill funding government services. It's meant the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, is expected to stop being funded from the beginning of next month. Francine Salas, Chief Human Services Administrator for the Division of Public Welfare, says she doesn't know when federal food programs will be back up and running.
I cannot even tell you when would we anticipate any of the shutdown to end, where there will be a continuing resolution next week. We truly do not know. And in the meantime, people are hungry and people need to get food to feed their family.
RNZ Pacific Northern Mariana Islands correspondent Mark Rabigo says the shutdown has meant many people in the territory have been forced to stop working, while others are just not getting paid.
In fact, I talked to somebody, a friend of mine. He works for the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. And he said, although he's still working, he's not receiving a paycheck. So that's how bad it is, but he has to work. He will just get reimbursed or back pay whenever that's available. So yeah, it's messed up.
The US territory is already in a bad economic place. Mr. Rabigo says the shutdown has come after a series of bad events.
Budget is low, tourists are not coming, and then of course our governor died last August or July. So it's been a tough year, tough few months for the cinema. And this shutdown isn't giving us good vibes coming into Thanksgiving, into Christmas.
In the Marshall Islands, RNZ Pacific correspondent Govt Johnson says Compact of Free Association money is still flowing.
Just last week, almost $45 million in health and education and other related funding was provided by the U.S. under the Compact, as well as the third annual $200 million contribution to the Compact Trust Fund.
He says for the Marshall Islands, Palau and the Federated States of Micronesia, the biggest impact will be on Micronesians living in the US who rely on food benefits.
42 million people in the US are going to lose these benefits. And frankly, my understanding is that quite a lot of Micronesians, Marshallese, and Palauans qualify for that and depend on it.
In American Samoa, Congresswoman Amor Amata has requested her paycheck to be delayed until the federal government has reopened, in solidarity with those awaiting paychecks.
In the Cook Islands, an ocean scientist says there's not enough known about the seafloor to make a decision on deep-sea mining. The Cook Islands Seabed Minerals Authority were involved in a 21-day deep-sea research expedition on board US exploration vessel Nautilus. Tiana Haxton reports.
The voyage was a part of a US-funded mission exploring the Marae Moana, an ocean area 7 times the size of New Zealand, which is one of the world's largest multi-use marine parks. The team collected high-resolution imagery and data to better understand what lives on the Cook Islands seafloor. Dr. John Parianos of the Cook Islands Seabed Minerals Authority says the findings will help guide future decisions about seabed mining.
So this research feeds into our environmental baseline information, and what we do then is we take all the knowledge and we take an environmental impact assessment, and one day someone will have to make a decision about what to do. And it's clear today we don't know enough to make a decision.
As the EV Nautilus and a crew of scientists returned to Rarotonga after their mission, a group of protesters paddled alongside in kayaks. An anti-deep-sea mining activist, Luisa Castledine, says deep-sea research in the Cook Islands is being done with an agenda to enable seabed mining. The Ocean Ancestors Collective spokesperson says the research has potential to be weaponised against the Cook Islands people.
It's the guise in which this research is being utilised, and it's who sent them is the challenge, because who sent them is quite clear on their intent in mining.
She says the region is in the middle of a geopolitical storm, with the US and China vying for control over deep-sea minerals in the Pacific.
USA building their military might within the Pacific, and this is one of those ways in which their reach is moving more into the Pacific and more specifically into Cook Island waters.
A geopolitical analyst says China and the United States are hungry for valuable deep-sea minerals, primarily for their energy sectors. Jocelyn Traynor with the Terra Global Insights says both countries are also interested in the metals for military capabilities, but it's not the primary market.
Volumes are greater for other industries, such as the renewable energy sectors. In China, there's huge demand for electric vehicles. China has a huge market for them.
Back at sea, however, the Nautilus expedition remains focused on discovery and the chance to test new deep-sea technologies. Central to the expedition's success was the testing of a new ultra-high-resolution camera, the MXD Seacam, designed for deep-sea missions at depths of up to 7,000 metres. Dr. Pariano says it is some of the best footage ever recorded at these depths. He says the footage will help create the Cook Islands' first public catalogue of deep-sea life, a scientific reference for future research.
So we've benefited from probably the highest resolution images ever taken at these depths in the whole world ever. And we need to make a catalogue of the types of life in the Cook Islands seabed so that researchers in the future can reference it. And having such high quality images means that the catalogue will be even better quality than what exists internationally today.
Working under Parianos in the technical division is Tonga Morris, who was responsible for logging data of both biological and geological discoveries on the expedition. Morris says she was in awe of the various life forms they observed.
One of the main ones that's quite dominant would be deep-sea sponges. We've seen them in different species, morphotypes and sizes, even a whole garden of them.
Other findings include sea stars, anemones, octopi and eels, with some that have potentially never been seen before. Another notable feature of the EV Nautilus is their 24/7 live stream. Morris says people from around the world tuned in during their dives to watch the crew at work and see the deep-sea discoveries for themselves.
A few people have jumped online and asked questions like, oh, have you guys spotted any unidentified species? And I think better to say the least, we have come across a few, but then it will take a while to really be sure. But if so, what a great milestone it is for us to acknowledge that within our Cook Island waters.
The Cook Islands team says this element of the voyage helps answer the public's questions on what life is found on the seabed. They say the findings that will form their first public catalogue of deep-sea life will be a foundation for future research, and one day inform the difficult decisions about what lies beneath.
Round 3 of the Pacific Championships will kick off this Sunday as the Kiwis take on Tonga at Auckland's Eden Park. The Kiwis are seeking to avenge last year's controversial 24-25 loss to the Tongans to earn a repeat meeting with the Samoans in the final in Sydney on November 9th. Meanwhile, Tonga are looking to bounce back after a brutal 34-6 loss to Toa Samoa. I spoke with Sky Sports presenter Richie Barnett. Kia ora, Richie. Based on the last 2 matches that we've seen in the Pacific Championships, how do you think this game between the Kiwis and Tonga will play out?
No, it's well. Firstly, I think the Kiwis versus Samoa game was what a start, really. I thought the standard was really high. I thought Samoa were extremely good compared to, and I thought Tonga were really disappointing last weekend. I really thought they'd come in with some really aggressive and stoic defence, but Samoa really taught them a lesson, and I think Tonga were underdone. They were a bit rusty. Given that the players they had on the field, I thought they were really underperformed last weekend, which makes it more of a bigger game this weekend, because that's not going to happen for the second time. They'll be really disappointed with that performance. With the quality of players that they got on the field, it's going to be a massive game on Sunday, and you will not be a repeat from last weekend for sure.
Do you think Tonga will give the Kiwis a run for their money, though?
Yeah, I think if they play to their potential, Tonga are a very difficult side to contain. I remember last year when the Kiwis lost 24-25, players like Taumalolo and Whanua Blake were outstanding. Just their sheer ability to break tackles and their footwork at the line really started to make dents into the defence of the Kiwis last year, and now they've got such a good spine with Katoa and Ongi. I thought those two are very, very classy. Young talent coming through, and Lehigh Hopewadi, I think, is a player to look forward to. And now you've got such an interesting back row now with Katoa and Wong. I think those two potentially could really bust open. If they get some really good foundation, Tonga can be very powerful, but I don't think the Kiwis are going to relent in that space either.
Yeah, are there any injury concerns or roster changes worth noting? I mean, in the last game between Tonga and Samoa, we saw Stefano sit out.
Yeah, Stefano's out, unfortunately. Robert Toya's out. So they're not going to lose so much in Robert Toya in terms of Alamoti coming in. He's had a fantastic season for Penrith. Stefano, on the other hand, is probably a bigger loss for Tonga because of his genuine size, and I think he'll be missing. But they've got players who'll take that role and really do well. Wong's an outstanding player. They've also Fotuaika had a fantastic game last week. But for the Kiwis, Jeremy Marshall-King and Mulitalo is actually out. So Jeremy is a bigger impact player, I think, for the Kiwis, being such an important role in the hooking role. Phoenix Crossan hasn't had much football. I thought Jeremy Marshall-King is just starting to build as a player, and he's going to be sorely missed. But I think the addition with Tamati Martin coming in to fill the void around that is going to be really, really important for us. He adds another dimension, a tempo changer, his experience, but that's a little bit of a concern for me. But like most games, if Tonga can reduce their error rate, the Kiwis are going to be relentless, as we all know. But if they can reduce their error rate, because the last weekend, they had so many errors, they couldn't build any territory. Added with the amount what Samoa had given against Tonga, their defence, their attack, they were relentless. So this is not going to happen again. Tonga's going to come out firing. It's the first 5 or 10 minutes, which is going to be the most important indicator for us when you watch a game.
They've got to win by 17 points, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's in the back of their mind, but I think it just comes down to really being aggressive and reducing the error rate, and everything will fall into place for Tonga. They really will. If they reduce those errors, kick really well, then things will just start to happen.
What do you think of the criticism around Pacific players choosing to play for their country of heritage?
Absolutely love it. It's only going to benefit the one. Playing for their whānau, for their family, which is so important. I think there's no emotional tie then to play for your parents and your background, and a lot of them are. Samoan, Tongans, and Māori, Pacific. Everyone's got bloodlines that rush through all, and I think it needed to happen. Australia owned most of that with the Origin series. They were poaching players. Kiwis were, I think the Kiwi side has probably been the one that's been damaged the most, to be honest, because they sat in the middle watching players move and shift the dial when Kiwis were over in Australia and they were born in New Zealand, they went to move there. There was a lot of players that were dangled the carrot of Origin series. And so it was an obvious move for them to go there because it's higher profile, they get more money. And New Zealand was one of those pathways, genuine pathways as well, where Tonga and Samoa really didn't have a lot of test matches and it wasn't a genuine pathway. Now we're seeing that now, and it really warms my heart to see international football And I'm not going to say Second Nations anymore because it's just not anymore. Tonga, Samoa, this is not, we shouldn't be saying that anymore because I think it's genuine head-to-head now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Final question, Richie. What's your prediction?
I tell you what, potential. It's going to be hard to separate, but I'm going to go the Kiwis because it's going to be at home at Eden Park. I think they're better prepared. I've seen them train, and I think their intensity of what they brought from the beginning at the get-go is going to hold them in place. And yeah.
That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. Tomorrow, we head to Tonga, which is preparing for its national general election. For now, from myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā suifua.